Okay, I'd like to go ahead and start by talking about unit conversions. And I'm going to use some kind of irregular amounts here to try to help us understand this kind of conversions or these kind of conversions that are going on. So let's go ahead and use some that, you may seem a bit atypical. So let's say we had 14 feet and we want to say, okay, how many yards is that? Well, first, before we do anything, we have to know the relationship between feet and yards. And the relationship is that for every 3 feet, that is going to equal 1 yard, right? So basically, we have a total of 14 feet, and we are going to be putting it into groups of 3, right? And we're going to be saying, okay, well, how many groups of 3 can we take out of 14? Well, that means we need to be taking 14 and dividing by 3, right? So let's go ahead and do that. What is 14 divided by 3? Well, how many times will 3 go into 14? 3 times 5 is 15, so that's too much. 3 times 4 is 12. So we subtract that, meaning we have 2 left, right? 2 out of 3 feet. So what does that mean? That means that we have 4 groups of 3 that we can take out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to have 2 feet left over, right? That's what that shows. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that's 4 yards and 2 feet left over, right? Well, let's think about this in fractions, though. Okay, if we had 2 left over, well, that's a remainder of 2. But remember, we don't need to be dealing with remainders anymore. We need to be as specific as we can. Well, if we have 2 left over, well, that's 2 out of 3 feet that make a total yard. Remember, 3 feet make a yard. So if we have 2 feet left over, that's saying we have 2/3 of a yard left. So let me show you what that means. Okay, so let's think again. So 3 feet is equal to 1 yard, right? So if we have 2 out of 3 feet, right, left over, that means we have 2/3 of a yard left over. So we can say, okay, we have 14 feet is equal to 4 yards and 2 feet, which is true. That's one way of writing it. But we could also say, well, that means that that is also 4 2/3 yards, okay? All right, let's go on. Let's say we had something like this, where we had 16 quarts, and we wanted to say, well, how many cups is that? Now, on your conversion charts, you won't see, the quarts to cups ratio going on. You won't see that, because you only see, 1 quart is equal to 2 pints, right? But if we remember this, this graphic right here, that for every gallon is 4 quarts, right? And for every quart is 2 pints. And for every pint is 2 cups. If we keep that in mind, then we can see that 1 quart is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 cups. So therefore, what I'm saying is, if I have a total of 16 quarts, right, I'm going to be putting it, if I have a total of 16 quarts, I'm going to say, okay, for every one of these, right, every one, there's 16 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 16 quarts. For every single one of these, it's going to be 4 cups, right? 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And my handwriting's a bit sloppy, sorry. But that means that there are 16 groups of 4, right? There's 16 of these quarts. Every quart has 4 cups in it. That's 16 groups of 4. So then we just do our math. That's 16 groups of 4, so that's 16 times 4. 4 times 6 is going to get me 24. 4 times 1 is 4. 5, 6, 64. So 64 cups. All right. Okay, last one. Let's talk about this. Now, this is one that might seem more confusing than the others because you're starting with a fractional amount, right? Well, let's keep in mind the relationship once again between yards and feet. We know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, right? So if I have 2.5 yards, that's 2 groups and a half of a group of 3 feet. So that's 3 feet, and then a half of 3 feet, right? That's what this means. So that's 1 yard, 2 yards, half a yard, right? 1 yard, another yard, and then half a yard, right? Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means that we have a total of 6 feet for sure, and half a yard. Well, good. That doesn't help us too much with this half thing, right? Well, let's draw a diagram to see if we can help, if this will help us. We know that 1 yard is how many feet? Well, 3 feet, right? 1 foot, 1 foot, and 1 foot. If we wanted half of a yard, right? Well, that's going to be half right there, which will be 1 foot and then half a foot too. Half of a yard is equal to 1.5 feet. Half foot is 6 inches. If you wanted to be more technical, you'd do that. But so this 6 feet and then half a yard, well, that's still 6 feet, and the half a yard is 1.5 feet. Well, that's 7 feet, and then half a foot. So 7.5 feet. And again, if you wanted to be more technical, you could say, well, what is half of a foot? Well, that's 6 inches. So that would also be 7 feet and 6 inches. Okay.